Thank you all for being here on time. We do have all of our council members present in one form or another. Mr. Moody is attending via Zoom virtually, and Mr. Darby is on the phone, and we are appreciative for both of their presence at this meeting tonight. Thank you to our public, those of you who are here tonight. We're ready to dive into our committee meetings, our audit committee. Mr. Sass.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The audit committee consists of myself, Joe Boykin, Henry Darby, Brantley Moody, and of course the chairman, Mr. Middleton. First item, approval of minutes of June 24, 2025.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, additions, deletions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Item number 2, probate judge reimbursement. Mr. Guile, have we been reimbursed yet?
No, sir, I'm not aware of any reimbursement that we've received.
Thank you, sir. I did speak with Judge Condon late this afternoon, and I think we may see him at the next meeting. So I just wanted to report that. Unless there's anything further to be brought before the audit committee, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you so much, Mr. Sass, and we're now moving to our Finance Committee meeting. Item number 1, approval of minutes from the, item 1, approval of the minutes from the June. Approval. Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you so very much. Item 2, resolution. Approval. Properly moved and seconded. All those.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, my name is Russell Huggins. I'm the Capital Projects Officer for Charleston Water System, and we appreciate this opportunity to bring awareness to council of the impacts of the Low Country Rapid Transit Project, as well as other projects funded through the Charleston County Transportation Sales Tax Program. The impacts of those projects on Charleston Water System. As I'm sure council is aware, the Low Country Rapid Transit Project is a planned bus route extending from near the fairgrounds in Ladson down the 78 corridor and then down the Highway 52 corridor through the Meeting Street corridor and then terminating in the hospital district on Peninsula Charleston. What I want to bring to your attention is the location of our hand-to-hand water treatment plant. As you can see, it's just right there, almost in the middle of that route. Extending from the water treatment plant is a very significant asset of Charleston Water System. These are some of those critical assets. They include a 24-inch water main that runs down the Highway 78 corridor. This water main serves Trident Hospital as well as our wholesale customer, town of Lincolnville. We also have a 30-inch and a 24-inch water main that extends north along Rivers Avenue. It served our wholesale customer, Berkeley County, which includes the Google Data Center. We have a 24-inch water main that extends south down Rivers Avenue to the I-526 interchange. That water main serves the Boeing campus as well as the Charleston International Airport. It also is a point of service for our customers west of the Ashland. Then we have dual 24-inch water mains extend down Rivers Avenue and the Meeting Street corridor, and these mains serve as the primary source of water supply to Peninsula Charleston. They also serve customers east of the Cooper, and that includes Daniel Island, Cainhoy, and our wholesale customer, Mount Pleasant Waterworks. The LCRT project is approximately $625 million in total. We know that also includes purchases of buses as well as parking facilities, and then the roadway construction cost alone is approximately $247 million. Funding for this project is through a combination of federal grants and the Charleston County Transportation Sales Tax Program. Within that corridor, CWS has estimated almost $64 million in construction costs for water utility relocation. In addition to that, we have about $4 million in engineering costs. So right now, we're looking at a total project cost of almost $68 million. Many of the conflicts we have identified are with the dual 24-inch water mains that serve Peninsula Charleston. We are getting some funding for the project through the Act 36 Utility Relocation Act, which allocates up to 4% of the road construction costs to the relocation of public water and wastewater utilities. Within this corridor, we have both Charleston Water System and North Charleston Sewer District. So we'll be splitting that approximately $11 million between Charleston Water System and North Charleston Sewer District. So even with the Act 36 money, Charleston Water System has approximately $62 million in cost estimated for the Low Country Rapid Transit Project. The total amount of which will be the responsibility of our approximately 130,000 water customers, many of whom are low to moderate income families. In addition to LCRT, we have identified cost obligations of approximately $50 million for other planned transportation sales tax funded projects. The most significant of these being the main US 17 and Main Road Corridor Segment A project. Within that project limits, we have over $21 million in cost identified. In total, CWS has about $112 million in utility relocation costs across all Charleston County transportation sales tax funded projects. The primary source for funding for Charleston Water System is through the sale of municipal bonds, and the repayment of these bonds are borne 100% by our ratepayers. We anticipate the impacts of LCRT alone to be about a 3% increase on our water customers, and that would begin in 2026, and that's on top of an already approved 7% rate increase that was previously approved by our Board of Commissioners. Again, the greatest impact on these water rates will be to our low and moderate income families. We currently average about 200 shutoffs per day, and the majority of those being for non-payment. We would expect that impact to even be greater with these upcoming rate increases. This new debt is also crippling to our major capital improvements program. These funds will now have to be diverted away from other previously identified master plan projects. Those funds will have to be diverted away in order to pay for road-wise improvements. Our key point today is to leave you with some takeaways, and that's number one, to provide some awareness. We know these transportation projects are often funded through a combination of grants and the sales tax program, and they are able to distribute that cost, particularly with the sales tax program, across the entire county and the 8 million tourists that visit Charleston every year. However, the CWS costs are distributed solely across our 130,000 water customers and our approximately 60,000 sewer customers, often with no additional benefit to our customers. Again, the greatest cost impact is going to be to our lower income families, many of whom really are struggling to pay for access to our essential services. We appreciate the funding we get from Act 36, the South Carolina Utility Relocation Act. However, that act is scheduled to expire July the 1st of 2026. So we do encourage your support to encourage our state legislators to pass an amendment in their next session to either remove the sunset clause from that in its entirety or to at least extend that provision. And then CWS would also respectfully ask that as you plan for transportation sales tax projects, that you include some additional funding in there to offset the cost for public water and public wastewater utility relocations. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, thank you so much for giving us this presentation. Ms. Honeycutt? Well, I was going to ask Mr. Tootin, have we not contemplated any of these collateral impacts prior to making these projects shovel-ready? I mean, have we not coordinated with contiguous utilities to make certain that we're not passing costs on to them in ways that they did not anticipate?
So we do take into account the 4% the state law requires us to contribute for construction costs. We also tried our best to work with utilities to avoid the conflicts as much as possible. Sometimes those conflicts are not, can't be avoided. I believe in the past, if they have secured easements or right-of-way for their utilities, we have to bear 100% of that cost. And if they're in the DOT by encroachment, then the cost falls to them.
All right, Ms. Honeycutt?
Good evening, Mr. Huggins. Thank you so much for being here. I don't think you've had the opportunity to address this since I've been on council, so I appreciate hearing directly from CWS. I've had some great conversations with your Capital Works team on projects that we're working on, and we really do appreciate the cooperative effort to help deliver these projects. How old is the line running down Rivers Avenue?
It is not young. I'll be honest with you. Charleston Water System, that's part of being a historic city. Some of our infrastructure is historic as well. So we do approximately, I'm going to say, 100 years old transmission main. So those mains went in long, when Rivers Avenue was perhaps even a dirt road, and certainly not what we have out there today. So those mains are now located under pavement, where when they initially went in, they were not.
Does the Water Systems Capital Improvement Plan anticipate the replacement of those lines at some point? I would imagine they're almost out of their useful life.
Well, you would think that. These older cast iron water mains have proven to be, they don't build them like they used to. We'll use that analogy. So these water mains have served us well. We have very limited break history on these water mains. And as we all know in this room, there's a lot of growth occurring in the Charleston area. So, part of our funds have to go to expanding that capacity to be able to continue to serve the potable water demand out there across our Tri-County service area.
When do you all have anticipated the replacement of these lines? I'm assuming you all have that built in somewhere.
To try to replace 21 miles of transmission main is not an easy concept. I will say right now, we do have in the planning stage, and we anticipate perhaps the bid as early as the fourth quarter of this year is a third transmission main. This is a brand-new 36-inch transmission main that'll extend water service initially down to Greenleaf Street in North Charleston, and then in the second phase of that, will carry that line from Greenleaf Street down to Nassau Street, where we have a water storage facility on Peninsula Charleston. So that's our real plan, is to build a third transmission main to reinforce the two transmission mains we currently have.
In conjunction with this project, do you anticipate, if you have to relocate those existing 100-year-old mains, replacing them as you do that?
We would do offsets and where there are conflicts, and because of their age, they're not simple offsets. So we have to extend multiple joints of pipe. I'll use that analogy in order to accomplish the offset. So there'll be sections that will be new where we make the conflict resolution.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pryor?
Forgive me if I'm for asking this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So Carter is basically responsible for the LCRT planning and bringing it down Rivers Avenue. Is that correct?
My understanding, Carter will have the ownership of the project once it's completed. That's my understanding, yes, sir.
So did Carter reach out to y'all in the planning stage, or have anybody from Carter?
We met with the Low Country Rapid Transit Planning Team, which is SCDOT and the BCD COG. So we have met with them, and this project first came to our attention perhaps 3 or 4 years ago. At that time, it was merely a concept, and we were only asked to provide what infrastructure we had within the proposed corridor. Within late 2024 is when the project really kind of became real, I will say. And so since probably December 2024 now we're into July, we're expected to have final roadway plan, design plans by the end of this year, which is a tough ask.
Yeah, because the reason I'm asking is, and Mr. Thigpen, this is not a Charleston County project, right? Even though we funded it through the half-penny sales tax.
We are not managing those.
No, that's the SCDOT, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't want folks to put the burden on Charleston County to say, well, we have to go in and help replace these pipes. I mean, Carter may need to look to the federal government for grants to help get this thing done as well, too. While I support this 100%, I would have thought this would have been, embedded in the original process and the planning part that you're going to have to move utilities. I mean, what about Dominion? I know some power lines will have to be relocated too, probably AT&T underground cable, so this is just for CWS. So, Mr. Mitchell, do you have a complete cost from what it's going to cost to remove all these infrastructure under the ground? From Dominion and the rest of these folks as well as CWS?
No, sir. It'd be premature for me to give you a number at this stage. We're still
And-
working through that process.
And did y'all not think about, maybe including this in the money when y'all were going for a federal grant? Because, to me, it's unfair for taxpayers who are already paying a half-penny sales tax. Now we're gonna go and they're gonna raise the price for their water bill. ISOP included with CWS, to pay for something that the majority of them don't use. And, it just seemed like to me it's poor planning. Nobody planned this to say we gotta move infrastructure.
Prior, let me just say, again, I think it's premature to get into a public discussion about prices when we haven't gotten to that point yet. Obviously, this is not uncommon with any transportation project. Utilities are in the public right of way owned by SCDOT, often have to be moved. We don't think it's 21 miles of pipe that has to be dealt with. I'll also say that we are extremely sensitive. We work closely with the Charleston water system and a lot of other issues, so we're sensitive to that issue. We're very sensitive about these pipes, particularly the ones being with Vanessa. It's a 1904 pipe, not like a 1930 pipe. Have a useful life of about 120 years. So we understand they're old pipes, and we need to be very, very careful. So we're trying to work through that process. A lot of what we're dealing with is trying to deal with what we call deconflicting, and we have to deal with improving the drainage situation, and in many cases enhancing the drainage situation. But at the same time, we don't want to create a problem for Charleston water system. So we're doing the best we can to figure out how to balance all those utilities that are in the public right of way and provide space for them without incurring any more costs than we have to. I'm a ratepayer too, so I understand. We don't want to increase rates if we can avoid it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Moody?
I'm gonna have to unmute it, so.
Nothing. Thank you, sir. Nothing from me.
All right, Mr. Darby?
Nothing, sir.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Reassessment briefing, 3B.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, I'm Bobby Cale, your county assessor. I'm here just to give you a brief overview of reassessment. This first slide is just the definition of market value that's in state law. It's the definition that we use. Reassessment, also known as equalization, happens every 5 years, and that's also in state law. The State Department of Revenue has a schedule for all the counties, and this year is our year in Charleston County to go. So reassessment is just a way of getting appraised values caught up since the last reassessment so that the property owners are assessed in proportion to their value, and it has an equalization of the tax burden. However, at reassessment, the increases in property value due to reassessment are limited to a 15% increase. That's been in effect almost 20 years. This is the fourth reassessment that's been capped. You'd have to go back 20 years ago to the last uncapped reassessment. So people who have owned their property for a long time have taxable values that are a lot lower than their appraised or market value. So in other words, reassessment's not the traumatic event that it used to be. Also, reassessment is tax neutral. By state law, the county and all the taxing jurisdictions have to roll their millage back in a reassessment year so that the county doesn't get a windfall due to reassessment. It is supposed to be flat. The revenues are flat, except that the jurisdictions are allowed to bump it back up for the increase in the consumer price index from the previous year and the increase in the population from the previous year. Now, new construction and assessable transfers, which we'll talk about in a minute, are on top of all that. But the reassessment itself is tax neutral. So most people are going up to 15%, but they can go up. Some people will see a higher tax bill, some people will see a lower tax bill. Most people won't see much of a change at all in their tax bill, and only a 15% change in their assessment. So how does the 15% cap work? Well, let's just say your taxable value last year was $200,000. If your new reappraised value for reassessment is $260,000, or it could be $500,000, it could be $1 million, doesn't matter. It can only go up to $230,000, a 15% increase. That's it. Like I say, some people have owned their property a long time have had cap after cap after cap, so their values are a lot lower than their appraised value. We still have to appraise at market value, but then there's also the taxable value. Both are shown on the assessment notice. What about new construction? Well, let's say you build a pool. You built a pool last year. It's never been appraised. We're going to appraise it this year. That value of that pool, let's say it's $20,000, will be added to your capped value. Your original value last year without the pool was $200,000. Your reassessment value before the pool is $230,000. The pool, we add another $20,000, that's $250,000. So new construction, property that wasn't previously assessed is not subject to the cap. Now, here we come to assessable transfers of interest. When all of these reforms were made 19 years ago with the 15% cap, they also at the same time gave us assessable transfers of interest, which means if a property sells, the next year it's reappraised at full value with no cap. And so those properties are, if you bought a property last year, you're going to have an uncapped full value this year. This just gives you an idea. I think everybody's aware of how much property values have gone up in recent years. Going back to 2018, median value of single-family home in Charleston County that sold was $326. In last year, the median sale price of a single-family home was $600,000, and that's median. And that's just a graphic depiction of the same thing. Okay, so we're getting ready to send all these reassessment notice next month. What if the taxpayer disagrees? Well, they can disagree with any number of things, their assessment ratio or the value. Usually it's the value. There's 3 different levels of review. First thing they do is they can just write us a letter, and all they have to say, identify the property, identify themselves, give us some way to contact them, and we'll take it from there. We'll call them, we'll have a conference. If they're still not satisfied at the conference, we'll give them a form. They can formalize their protest. They'll have 30 more days to get that into us. And then when we get that, we will review it. We'll send them another notice with whatever we determined. And if they still disagree with that, they could file an appeal to the Board of Assessment Appeals. And then from there, they can go on to the administrative law court if need be. The deadlines are, the first reassessment notice itself has a 90-day appeal deadline. After that, you're looking at 30-day deadlines once you appeal beyond that. So we are getting ready to send notices. It's going to be just shy of about 196,000. So anytime you send that many notices, even with a cap, you're going to get some calls. We have a lot of information on the back of the notice, And we even include a notice of objection where they can just fill it out and send it in if they object to the value. We'll have a brief message that explains reassessment and the 15% cap, a reason for change, most of them will just say countywide reassessment. And they'll have, as I said, both the market value, the real value, and their taxable value, which is the bottom line for most people, because that's what they're assessed on and that's what they're taxed on. We'll yes, sir.
When he's not done yet,
I'm
Mr.
almost-
Darby.
Oh, I'm sorry, forgive me.
I'm almost there, I'm sorry. So we'll have a reassessment hotline, and we'll have the number on the notices, and it'll be staffed by appraisers, 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. We'll also have a reassessment 2025 section in the county website. And we have all the forms they need, and we'll have everything ready for them. So, yes, any questions?
All right, we'll start with Mr. Darby.
Yes, sir. Is this reassessment, is this something that's state mandated?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because my question is going to be, sir, when it comes down to poor folk in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, they aren't going to have the means to protest. They're going to protest that. And in so many situations, it hurts the poor in terms of this. Let me give you a primary example. I contacted some district folk. There's a house worth about $73,000. And now when reassessment comes, it's going to go for $125,000. That's madness. Is there anything that we can do to protect the poor folk, particularly those who are of age in their 80s and 90s? I had a cousin in 94. Taxes went up so to the point that if I were there, yesterday this house going for sale. So is there anything that we can do to help the poor communities? I don't care whether black or white, but the poor people are going to suffer under this because they don't have the means and the knowledge and the know-how to protest their tax bills.
Well, I would just say that the 15% cap protects the owners. If you've owned your property for a long time, you haven't changed anything, you haven't built a new house, you haven't sold it, your value is not going to change much, and your taxes are going to change even less. So that's...
I just know for a fact there's a house that's, I had someone in the district that checked for me, it's now worth $73,000. And when they said reassessment comes, it's going to $125,000. That's almost double.
But it's not going to...
The value of the property.
It's not, the true, yes, sir, the true value of the property may have doubled, it may have tripled, but the taxable value is only going to go up 15%. As long as you own
Yes,
your
sir.
property. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Kowalski.
I want to echo what Mr. Darby just said, that I agree that the state law has helped make it less traumatic, but for older people or people who have lived here a long time and maybe of modest means who have lived here for decades, and that 15%, you double 2 or 3 times, it is very traumatic. And people will lose their homes. So the Councilman Darby has a valid point. What you said, that the state law does help lessen the impact, but for many of us who live here and who may not have any means to have paid more than when they bought the house, and they've seen all with all the economic developments, we raise the price of homes by what we do, and it goes up through the roof. It does make it very scary for people, and people will have to sell their homes. So Mr. Darby has a very valid point. Even though it's limited to 15%, you do that a few times, and a person has no more means to pay than when they owned it originally. They've done nothing to increase their own wealth. They don't want to move, and they have no more money to pay it. So it is a valid concern. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I feel that the concern is very legitimate. Thank you. And also, to send out almost 200,000 notices is an unbelievable job, so thank you for that. That seems almost unimaginable, so thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Boykin.
Yes, sir. Isn't there also a deduction or reduction carved out for seniors on their property
Yep.
taxes? And
Yes,
could
sir,
you-
the
could you-
homestead exemption.
Could you explain that to the council?
Well, that's $50,000 off the value,
That helps.
and the state keeps talking about raising it, but hopefully they will someday. But yeah, that helps.
Mr. Moody?
Nothing for me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Consent agenda, item 4A, personal wellness and resilience.
For approval, A through K.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it.
Aye.
Item 5A, Savannah Highway Capacity and Intersection Improvement Eminent Domain.
Approval.
All right, properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay.
Aye.
Thank you so much. The ayes have it. Item 6, General Services Directorate items. Materials, recovery, facilities, non.
Approval on A and B.
All right, probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it.
Aye.
Item 7, election office items.
Approval A and B.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposers, nay. The ayes have it.
Aye.
Item 8, Mr. Guile.
So last Wednesday at the council retreat, we touched on 3 areas that are challenges to the finances of the county. The first one is competitive pay. You heard from many of the elected appointed officials and the deputy administrators that they are struggling to recruit and retain employees. Also, in this current fiscal year, we've noticed that several of the governments around us are awarding cost of living adjustments. This page is a summary. We'll go into more detail on each of these 3 items. The second item that came in to our attention largely after we finished developing the fiscal year 26 budget is a discussion about FEMA and federal funding and that uncertainty as to what they would be providing if there was a disaster. There has also been some reduction in funding for mitigation. I think we lost $3 million for a drainage-related project already. And one of the things we are aware of as we go into fiscal year 27, that there is a larger than normal gap between revenues and expenses, which will be a challenge as we move forward. So to go a little bit more into competitive pay, based on the CPI, the county is keeping up with that index. It's gone up about 30% over the last 10 years. And based on average employee movement, we're about at that same rate. So that's good news that we are keeping up with that index. However, as you heard from Mr. Kale, that we are not keeping up with the cost of living, and that's being driven by the housing. Back in 2018, the county was at average when we were compared to other areas. Now we're 21% above that. That index is adjusted each year, and that's over and above what the CPI index measures. There's 2 options that could occur in fiscal year 26. Doing a cost of living adjustment of 3% would probably be the most optimal, but it would require additional revenues. Not anticipating that would be possible. Staff is recommending a one-time bonus of $2,000 for regular scheduled employees that are working full-time in a full-time position for all of 25. There's some other parameters on that. As far as talking about the uncertainty that's been created at the federal level, the emergency management director briefed you on some challenges that appears to be going to happen in that area. One of those was that the threshold for FEMA to declare a disaster, that amount was going to increase. Statewide, it's a little under 10 million right now. It could go up to 40 million. I don't think they finalized that number. The county's around $3 million to be eligible for a disaster declaration if the entire state as a whole meets its threshold. In analyzing the costs that we have for the different levels of storms, it appears that if there's a tropical storm or a Category 1, it's going to be below the threshold, and that would have to be locally funded. And it costs pretty close to the county threshold. Right now, our disaster reserve is around $17 million. That includes the rainy day funds and the $2.5 million that council dedicated to disaster reserves from the lawsuit settlement. One of the challenges with that disaster reserve is if it is utilized in 1 year, the administrator has to replenish it. So it's a minimum of 4% of the general fund budget. If we used up that entire disaster reserve or a good portion of that 1 year and then the next year had to restore it, it's not the best timing to be pulling resources away to build a reserve up as your community is recovering from a disaster. So some of the options that we have related to this, one is more of a technicality. We can roll the rainy day fund into our disaster reserve fund. Also would recommend that we add an upper maximum on that fund, that it be at 12%. So we're going to aim for 4 to 12%. The target of being 30 million is what we think it would take to respond to a smaller event and not have to immediately react and restore that fund and possibly impact services while we restore it. Also related to the FEMA and the federal funding uncertainty is decrease in the mitigation funding. We already talked about some of the funding that's been pulled back. We also have had challenges funding drainage. We really don't have a recurring funding stream for those. Some of the money from the lawsuit is certainly helps with that. The needs are much higher. One of the nuances to be eligible for federal funding is that the county still has to prepare and do mitigation efforts, even if there isn't any federal funding to do that. So we're eligible to get that if there is a large disaster that comes through. So some of the options related to this is to maintain the millage rate in the current year. As Bobby talked about, you would expect the millage rate to decrease with reassessment. Right now, it's at 41.7 mills. We do not have the final numbers, but I think roughly it would go down to 38 mills after reassessment. If it was left at the same rate, it would provide about $20 million of new revenue in '26, of which staff is recommending that 12 million of that go into the disaster reserve fund, which would bring us close to that goal of 30 million. And also add $8 million to drainage and mitigation projects. The last item that we brought up that was a concern was the gap that we're anticipating as we move forward in our 5-year plan. The revenues are no longer keeping up with cost or exceeding them. The line is crossing where our costs are going to be going up faster than revenues. Some of that is interest income and the rates going down as we move forward in time. Also, property taxes don't grow as much immediately after a reassessment. So we're only anticipating a 2% growth in revenues going into fiscal year '27, and our costs are growing at more than 3%. Part of that gap is also due to not having a recurring funding stream to fund what we call one-time costs related to maintaining our facilities and replacing our equipment. Some of the options that we have, staff is not recommending the first one that is there, that we could look to reduce our resources or services, which would also reduce our personnel to balance that gap between our costs and our expenses. The option that staff is recommending, if the millage increase is maintained in '26, after some of those items are funded as one-time costs, when you get into '26, that could allow some of that recurring revenue to cover the gap for personnel and operating costs. And it could let us establish some recurring funding for facilities and equipment. And actually, I didn't put drainage on there, but it could allow us to put some recurring funds toward drainage as we move forward. Okay, so to summarize what staff is recommending from these options, the one-time bonus in the current year of $2,000 for full-time employees. There are some exceptions. Judges' pay is set by the state, so those are excluded. It's only for full-time employees that are working a full schedule, that worked for the entirety of 25 and up to the time that the bonus is paid. The cost for that is $4.2 million. Staff is recommending taking that out of fund balance in 26 due to having some improved results from fiscal year 25 than what we projected when we put the budget together. Also would recommend renaming the rainy day fund to a disaster reserve fund and adding that upper boundary of 12%. So we're not just sitting at the minimum as we move forward in future years. And the last part is to maintain the millage rate in fiscal year 26 after reassessment, and to allocate $12 million to the disaster reserve to bring that up to about $30 million, and then to add $8 million into drainage and mitigation efforts. And if that was done, staff would commit to not asking for a millage increase as we go into fiscal year 27. And I think that would close the gap and make that manageable without impacting services. A last note, to meet the auditor's deadline for setting the millage rates, if you're keeping that option open, we would need approval at committee today and at county council to meet that timeline.
All right, thank you so much. Let's talk about this because these are very aggressive, and I would like to probably take them one at a time based on these requests. Do we have any questions?
What are they proposing for the mill rate? I mean, what,
The millage will either go down to 38 mills.
I'm asking, the increase of what?
Well,
Is it a
41
4%?
He's saying leave it at 41.7 mills after reassessment. Otherwise, the mill would reset, or
Go down.
it would become 38 mills. And so I think we've had some conversations about reducing the millage, and this would naturally reduce it. If then, I know sometimes we were saying, well, oh, let's, give the residents or citizens of Charleston County, give them something back. The reassessment just did that. And now we're saying we're not raising the mill per se, but I guess we would be raising it because, they would not receive their reassessment calibration, for lack of a better word.
My question, Mr. Chairman, is what is the numbers? I mean, what would the taxpayers actually be giving up?
It works out to being about approximately a 10% increase. I think it was, what we had shared at the council retreat was roughly $60 for a $400,000 valued house.
So let's start with number one, the one-time bonus for employees of $2,000. That's a total of $4.2 million coming from fund balance. Mr. Giles said that they've miraculously found the money, and so apparently that's available to do. Did you not say that you realized some sort of?
I wouldn't say miraculously, but the interest rate stayed higher for longer than we thought, so that did generate more than what we projected.
So that was a miracle.
And there are a few other revenues that were better than what we thought.
Okay, so let's deal with that and talk about that. Yes, Mr. Kowalski.
Chairman, my position on that
it may be unpopular here in the room, but I would resist that the benefit that every public employee has, they never have to worry for 1 second and feel the pit in their stomach of whether they're going to be paid or not. And those of us who work we're not working for government, spend every day of our lives. If we have a business, we don't know if we're going to meet the payroll. If you're an employee, they have to worry about whether they're going to get paid. I think that the $2,000 for everybody, I would be opposed to that. And I would hope we can reset the mill at 38 mills and not increase by 10%. And the $60 per 400,000, that adds up. And so I would respectfully, and remember when we pay the employees, as I always say, there's a 42% guarantee of their bonuses and pensions and benefits on top of what we pay them. That's something that most of us never will experience. There's no guarantee in life. And so to have that guarantee that you're going to get those pensions regardless of what happens, you wake up, you go to sleep, you know you're going to get paid, and you know you're going to have your pension, I would be respectfully against that $2,000 one-time bonus. Thank you.
Okay, let's stay on number one, the $2,000 one-time bonus. This would be a $4.2 million in one-time funding from the fund balance. Mr. Moody?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would support this. It's not a recurring source of income. You get what you pay for. And if this county staffing salaries are not notoriously high. So I would support this. And if we need a motion, I would move to recommend for staff recommendation on item number one if we need it.
I would second that.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Mr. Darby? All right, Mr. Werriman?
I mean, I have to say, I think I kind of understand Mr. Gabrowski's point. I mean, it does seem like we're talking about having to do stuff with millage rates, and if we didn't do this, that would account for 1 year's worth of about a fourth of the millage. I mean, I realize that's a portion of 1 year, but it's not nothing. So, I guess I am sort of hesitant to commit to that at this point. And forgive me, I didn't see this presentation in our materials, but it seems like a quick decision, especially if we're faced with this deadline today on the millage. I mean, I guess my point is, to Mr. Gabrowski's point, I think those things kind of interact. Now, I realize the percentages are maybe somewhat, it is only a portion of it, but it does seem a little bit tied together here. So I got to say I'm hesitant, frankly, on all of this. But if we're keeping open the option of keeping the mills as they are, which is, sort of functionally a millage increase, right? Functionally a tax increase, at least, then I think we've got to maybe keep open the option of, unfortunately, not being able to pay out these one-time bonuses.
Mr. Pryor? The last time we did this, we gave a one-time stipend. I got a call from the clerk of court downtown saying it didn't give account for those bailiffs. Even though they work down there, they may not get these 30 hours. So part-time employees, what are we going to do for part-time employees? Because these people are on the job every day, just like these folks work all night to clean this building up and keep it ready for the next day. Are we considering doing something for them, maybe half of this versus the whole?
This is just focusing on the full-time positions, so it doesn't include temporaries or part-time.
I can see a temp, but a part-time worker to me is just like a regular worker. They just don't work 40 hours.
The bailiffs are not necessarily classified as part-time employees. They don't have a fraction of an FTE assigned to them, so they're considered to be temporaries.
What about the folks that work here in the afternoon?
Those are full-time.
The cleaning crew.
Custodians are.
All these people that work in the cleaning crew are full-time people?
Yes, sir.
It's been, yeah.
Okay, Well, that's good, because I know they used to be part-time, so now they're full-time now. So we have no part-time workers, working at night at this facility, at our facilities.
I'm not aware of any custodians that we have as temporaries.
No, I'm talking about, these people working hard around, janitors are full-time, okay? Got no problem with that. So, all right.
Mr. Sass?
Well, I like the fact that it's non-recurring, it's a one-time bonus, I like that part of it. I am concerned about the amount. It adds up to 4.2 million. But I'm more inclined towards it because it's a one-time.
Ms. Honeycutt?
I agree with Mr. Sass. I mean, I think if we have it in the reserves and it's available, then we should reward our employees for the hard work that they do, especially in light of the fact that they aren't the most competitive salaries across the board. I mean, we lose people over small amounts like that to other governments.
Certainly. As it relates to the reward to our employees, I would, agree with that. As we look at the other recommendations, like number 3, we say it's not a millage increase, but it becomes a millage increase if through reassessment, the millage becomes 38 mills. And so I would be against that. It has been properly moved and seconded. Let us have a roll call vote on item number 1 only.
Mr. Boykin?
Aye.
Mr. Darby? Mr. Darby,
Yes.
do you know what the motion is?
No, ma'am. I'm not familiar enough to make that decision at this time, ma'am. I'll have enough information by Tuesday.
Okay.
Usually that's gonna be done tonight.
Yeah, first readings tonight. We'll come back to you and see. Mrs. Honeycutt?
Aye.
Mr. Krabrowski?
No.
Mr. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Pryor?
You have to take care of the employees, so I gotta put an eye on this one.
Mr. Sass?
Aye.
Mr. Werman? Mr. Middleton?
Aye.
Mr. Darby, did you have a vote or you want to?
Now, what is this for? Is this for the tax increase, or what is it for?
This is for the one-time bonus of $2,000 for full-time employees, taking it from fund balance.
Well, again, I don't have enough information because I heard Mr. Pryor had a concern for part-time workers. So again, I'll make that decision on Tuesday.
Okay. The motion passes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ayes and 2 nays.
All right, item 2, renaming the rainy day fund to disaster reserve fund and add the upper boundary of 12% of the general fund budget. So when we add the upper boundary of the general fund budget to 12%, is that an automatic, off-the-top sort of thing? I mean, tell me how that works.
We have not discussed how we would increase the disaster reserve funds. At this point, we're maintaining it just at the minimum 4%.
That's right.
Certainly, the $2.5 million that council appropriated out of lawsuit did increase it. And we would maintain that unless we have to dip into that for a council-approved state of emergency and related cost.
All right, any discussion on this? Mr. Pryor?
Where's that young man that you hired to be over this? Is he here today? Yeah, because he has some good information, and he's not here today. Maybe he can be here on Tuesday if we have to, because I'm concerned about this as well too. Doing everything in one day without having to have time to study it, it's kind of complicated. Can we, now when sending out these bills, is it a state requirement that it has to go out at a certain time, or can we delay sending the bills out?
So this is a budget ordinance, so that it would be 3 readings, and you certainly can modify it up until that point in time. Because of the summer schedule, to meet that, I believe it's October the 26th would be the 3rd reading. And there is more time to have conversations and to provide more information to council.
But my question is, when the auditor sends this bill out, does he have to send it out on that specific day, or can it be delayed until we make a good decision? I mean,
You would have
how many
to-
days they got? About 90 days before they pay these bills anyway, right?
The auditor has given me a deadline, and based on the council meeting schedule, this
I
makes
know
it
he's
fit.
giving you a deadline, but what I'm asking you, if we send you back and say, hey, look, council wants to push this back 30 days, would he be willing to push those bills going out 30 days?
Ms. Verona looks like she wants to
I don't
provide
know
some
the
context.
exact wording of the statute for the auditor, but I know there is a time frame that they have to get the bills out. I don't want to tell you that exact time frame because I don't know it, but yes, by state law, they have a time frame that they have to get tax bills out by.
But if we ask for an extension, that's what I'm asking, say maybe 30 days, 15 days, that's the question I need to ask.
I don't believe so, but we can reach out to the auditor.
Yeah, can you do that? Mr. Tootin, maybe you might know.
It has to do when the bills are due and when their deadlines for increases are. So you can't do that to taxpayers.
Mr. Boykin, Mr. Wehrman, Mr. Moody.
I make a request for a point of order that we have a motion on the floor before we start discussion. It seems like we got one behind the other. When we move to these different points, that we can have a motion and then debate the motion.
All right. Are you making a motion?
I
I wanted clarification because it seems like some of these things,
Right.
triggers an automatic activity by staff, because now we're adding an upper boundary of 12%. So I just wanted to get a better understanding of what that automatically does, and before even contemplating a motion, because I wouldn't even make a motion. If we're just changing the name of something, that's simple. But it seems to be this other little bullet that gives me pause, and I wanted to know more information about that, and I think that's how we got in this loop.
It just seems confusing to me if we don't have a motion on the floor and we're debating but there's no motion. It just seems like, the order of operation.
Right. I was asking a question. It wasn't a
Right, we were
debate.
just trying to get clarification on,
But are we just going to go through all of these and discuss them and then we move on to taking them for a vote? Is that?
No.
We've already taken a vote on number one. And now we're on number two. And I think, Mac, maybe it would be helpful, what is the implication to our budget if we rename the rainy day fund to a disaster reserve fund? Or is there an implication?
It just clarifies that that is our disaster reserve fund and changes a term that was out there for 30 years and makes it a little clearer to us within the organization as well as those that may be looking from outside.
And what is this bullet point about add the upper boundary of 12%?
So we're setting goals as to where we would like the disaster reserve fund to be. 12 is the maximum amount that we would ever allow it to get. 4 is the minimum. We're aiming in the middle as reasonable at this point in time, but this does not increase how much is going into that disaster reserve fund by adding the upper boundary.
That
This
was the
particular
question.
action.
yeah. Mr. Sass?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kyle, just making sure I understand this correctly. What we're talking about now, about the 12% limit and mailing out notices, I don't think they have anything to do with each other.
That's correct.
I think the notices have to be mailed out. I know they have a deadline they have to go out by. And so those notices have to be mailed out, and nothing on that notice is going to change from this particular item.
So the notices have something to do with number 3, and we haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we'll entertain a motion if somebody has one.
I'll move to approve
Mr.
number
Chairman,
2.
one more question before you move on. Just a question before you make your motion. So rainy day fund is what, 2.5 months of the operating budget, right?
No, sir, it's only 4%.
4% operating budget.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we cannot go no more than 4%? Under the name rainy day, correct? We buying the 4% under the name rainy day.
Due to other demands on the general fund's fund balance, we have kept it at a minimum of 4%, and that ties into what we've experienced with events related to disasters. Unfortunately, with the change that FEMA is proposing, we need a higher amount there to be able to absorb some of those costs.
So why not just change the amount instead of the name? I mean, if it's a rainy day fund and disaster, I mean, I think it's just semantics, but what I'm saying is I was always told that the rainy day fund was tied into the budget, and that's how you get your bond ratings, and, and that's how you get your credit ratings. So now you're telling me we're gonna go from 4 to 12, right? So it's about an 8% increase, so I'm asking if we leave it at the name rainy day fund and the council approves the 8%, what difference does that make a change in the name?
It could be next year when an increase is needed. We may just leave it at the same dollar amount and not add to it. If there's $2.5 million that council's added to that. Say this year, that number is 17 million. The budget gets bigger next year, it needs to go to 18. Council added 2.5 to the 17, made it a little bit higher. So next year, we might not add anything to it. We may just let the dollar amount remain as it is
Right.
until we have to keep it at least at a minimum of 4%. If council is concerned with that upper boundary being too high, maybe we can reduce that to 8%, and that would be a better match with what we're targeting to have in there.
I'm just worried about the name right now. Why are we changing the name? You know, does the increase, do we have to change the name because of the increase we're asking?
No.
Okay, so
It's
if we
just-
leave it at, if we leave the name rainy day fund, we still can go to 8%?
You could. It leaves us in a little bit of a limbo as to what to do with the 2.5 that you had go to disaster reserve. I was just trying to get them.
2.5 add to which reserve?
Out of the lawsuit settlement, you had 2.5 to, I'm just trying to consolidate them and make it easier for us
Right,
to
now, the
understand.
answer say this, say, yeah, from the beginning, say it, this is, yeah.
We're trying to make things simple.
No, that's right, I'm not a budget expert, but yeah, this is layman's term. That's all you need to do, is you speaking to regular people, so this is layman's term. Okay? It makes it easy for us to absorb. Thank you, Matt.
Mr. Werman,
Thank
and
you.
then Ms. Honeycutt and Mr. Moody, and yes. Mr. Werman?
All right, so my understanding of the action we took on the 2.5 million is that it was for, disaster preparedness anyways. Okay, so I have no problem with the name change. I guess it seemed to me when you were discussing this, Mr. Guile, that the need to increase the amount of money in there was maybe tied to two things, is maybe we will need more money, but also we don't want to be put in a position where we have to basically fill it back up too quickly. And I guess my question is, where is the requirement that we fill it up so quickly coming from? Is that an internal requirement? Is that set by, bond raters? Is it set by state law? What is the source of that?
It is an internal portion of the financial policies that the administrator is required to bring a plan to council to restore it back to the minimum.
Well, I guess that leads to the question of, could we relax that policy and take some of the pressure of filling up, of increasing this fund, which could take some of the pressure off of needing more revenue later? So I do still maintain that all three of these things are kind of tied together. And so, I guess maybe to simplify that question, how would we just maybe loosen that constraint?
It would be up to council's prerogative. 4% in this fund is probably not enough to deal with the higher risk that we have now with the changes that we expect at the federal level.
Well,
Back to the comments about the bond rating. They look at overall fund balance. So they add all the pieces together. So we add 2 months that we set aside as a reserve at 16%. You add a rainy day fund at 4%, you're at 20. And we know we really can't touch those things, but we need to be at 30% total. But we have some other pieces that we have out there each year, and trying to manage those so they don't go down too far. We dip closer to the 20 than the 30 we're trying to come up with. It's complicated. That's probably more than Mr. Pryor wanted me to get into, but we're trying to add some boundaries so that we prepare the county to deal with risk if it should have happened.
I appreciate that, and I understand it. And I'll just tell you, I guess, I was maybe knocked a little bit off guard with the the immediacy of the need on the millage rate item. I mean, listen, a budget will come up year by year. We can, whether it's below 12 or at 12 or at 8, I mean, we can tell y'all we don't like it if we think we're sort of withholding too much money. So I'm okay on this one. I guess I would just maybe add for commentary that I'd like us to explore, maybe in the next couple weeks as we do 3 readings, the option of maybe trying to loosen or lengthen the timeline for the replenishment in our internal financial controls to see if that maybe requires us to, keep it at 6 million instead of 8 or something like that. So, I mean, I'm okay to move forward on this one today, but I just think we need to explore all options to reduce those expenses so that we have less pressure when we get to our next little discussion here on number 3.
Ms. Honeycutt?
Okay, maybe I didn't understand what the rainy day fund could pay for, but if we rename this to disaster reserve fund, are we restricting where resources out of this pot can go?
In my opinion, no.
Okay.
The definition was it could be used for a major calamity. I think that we would structure it so it's more under council's authorization, that it would only be eligible if council declares a state of emergency. That would be the trigger for that fund to be eligible for being used for a particular event.
But that's not part of what we're discussing tonight, correct?
It is actually in the budget ordinance, a little bit more detail in there.
Oh.
Which has not been presented to you yet, because as Mr. Werman was correct, this is coming together very quickly. Just figured a plan out this morning and trying to get the details to work. So, yes, I apologize for the short notice. It's complicated and a lot of different variables that we're trying to run through and make sure this was the best recommendation that staff could make to you.
Okay, so if we are prepared for a motion, would an appropriate motion be that we change the name of the rainy day fund to the disaster reserve fund? And do we need to include the language about the 12% cap? Or is that implied in staff recommendation here?
It is in the recommendation. I think staff would be okay if you reduced it to 8%, and that may make everybody a little more comfortable.
Okay, then my motion would be to actually put it at 8% then.
Second.
All right, probably moved and seconded. Mr. Boykin?
I'm good with Ms. Honeycutt's motion.
All right, Mr. Gabrowski?
I think that's a good point, and I'm confused. The 8% is this aspirational, not, the money's not being transferred. That's just, if it's a disaster and we declare disaster, we can go up to 8%. Is that what you're saying? Nothing that we would vote on tonight would be an allocation of actual fund transfer because of what we voted. Am I wrong on that?
It depends on how you handle the future recommendations, but this does not add any more money into the disaster reserve fund.
So would this be, we'll vote on it another time, we can go up to 8% if we need it, is that, but nothing is added now, is that correct?
We're creating a boundary as to how we define it, and that we don't want it lower than 4%, and we don't want it higher than 8%, because that might be excessive.
So the answer is yes, then we're just having the aspirational limit in case we need it, but we're not, as a result of this vote, allocating any more money than before we vote on this in the present time.
For this motion, yes, I believe that's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Moody?
To stop it after 3.
Nothing, sir. Ready to vote.
All right, Mr. Darby?
I was going to ask a question.
Mr. Pryor?
So, Mr. Gowd, I was asking a question to my colleagues. What about a sunset on this that, if we pass this, once you pass a mill increase, if there's not a sunset, it's continued and continued as for lifetime. What if we say we put a 5-year sunset on this and then revisit it in 5 years? Would that give you what you need to move this forward?
So we're talking about another item, but
okay, well, we'll wait till we get to that item.
I will think about that and might need the county attorney's assistance, because I believe that might be binding a future council, but
That's right. No, not really, I mean, because all we're saying is it can't go no longer than 5 years.
All right, let's deal with the matter that's in front of us right now. Number 2.
Mr. Wellman had a question.
Mr. Wehrman.
Well, it was more just, it was on the same point, and I think maybe the technical, legal way of looking at it is you set the millage every year, so that there sort of is always,
So we're
there's
dealing-
always a 365-day
Year
sunset
commitment.
provision.
So let's deal with number 2 and talk about the millage conversation in number 3. All right, let's have a roll call vote.
Mr. Boykin?
Aye.
Mr. Darby? Mrs. Honeycutt? Aye. Mr. Kaprosky?
Aye.
Mr. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Pryor?
Aye.
Mr. Sass?
Aye.
Mr. Warman?
Aye.
Mr. Middleton?
Nay.
The motion passes with 7 ayes, 1 nay, 1 absent.
All right, so now we move into the conversation, or the staff recommendation for number 3. And I would, prefer somebody put this as a motion of some sort, and then we get into the discussion. Recognizing that through reassessment, there's a rebalancing. Automatically, the citizens of Charleston County will get a lower millage rate of 38 mills. I think they deserve that, especially based on all of these things that we heard about just a few minutes ago. Cost of living increase, the area has exploded as it relates to just the market rate and value. And then finally, individuals will have conceivably some room to breathe. And even if we kept the mill at 41.7%, supposing that they're already, suffocating, they may as well continue holding their breath. The 38 mills would give them that opportunity. And so we talked about a few months ago finding ways of giving a break to our citizens. And so this is the natural break that the system has, through reassessment, given automatically. And for us, to have conversations now around keeping it the same after reassessment, that's going to be something that we have to really think about and not rush into a decision. But we'll entertain a motion. Yes, sir.
I'll be happy to move to approve recommendation 3.
All right, properly moved. Is there a second? All right, it dies for lack of a second. And so let's move on to the next item. Okay, item 9A, these are, thank you so much, Mr. Giles. Item 9A, these are requests that have come from individual organizations. So the Charleston County School District requests $5,000 to help offset the cost of hosting its McKinney-Vento event. The McKinney-Vento Act provides funding for resources for homeless and/or neglected students, as well as those who are in foster care. Funding provided under this act can be used to purchase resource, but not for hosting events to distribute the resources. So Charleston County School District's McKinney-Vento event will be held on August 2nd, and they're asking just for an amount from council for $5,000. We've looked at council contingency. There's $100,000 there, and are requesting support in that area. We'll deal with these one by one. Mr. Wehrman.
I mean, did we not just hear that we have to, this is $500,000, you said?
This is $5,000.
Okay, never mind.
$5,000.
Oh.
$5,000. Are you making a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
Thank you so
this.
much. Probably moved. We need seconded. Okay, Mr. Kabrowski.
Is this something that they couldn't pay for themselves?
So again, based on the act itself, they are able to provide student need requests, but as it relates to the event, if they have to put the items in a bag, they may not be able to purchase the bag. They partner with various external organizations in order to make these things happen internally. Apparently, the department, not necessarily the whole school system as a whole, sometimes these departments struggle based on constricted funding cuts within a district.
So this would be normally something that they would pay, but there's.
This is not normally something they would pay. They host this annual event, and they seek funding partnerships with other agencies external to the school district. This is the first time they're asking us.
So they've done this every year in the
They
past?
do this every single year.
And they never asked us for funding before?
Based on cuts all across the board, they're now seeking other funding sources.
And this was the Charleston County School District?
Charleston County School District, yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Chair, I'm going to abstain from voting on this because, as you know, my daughter-in-law runs this program
That's
per se, so I don't want to be seen as a conflict.
All right. All those in,
Stand as well, sir.
all right, thank you so much, Mr. Darby, and Mr. Pryor, and putting it on the record while you're abstaining, because your daughter-in-law runs the program, but yet she did not ask you, she asked me, and Mr. Darby works for the school system. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you so much. The African American Settlement Community Historic Commission, the African American Settlement Community Historic Commission, we're still on 9A. There were two requests. The African American Settlement Community Historic Commission requests $150,000. They sent a letter to help offset the cost of the restoration of the 1904 Long Point School, which will be transitioned to the 1904 Long Point Cultural Education Center after restoration. When I met with our administrator, clerk, and attorney, certainly the $150,000 exceeds our council contingency. We don't know how much council wishes to allocate based on this request, if anything at all. But if council wishes to help the Long Point School Association or Cultural Education Center, we'll structure whatever council's gift with that association over time.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just say we give $5,000 this year to help, just like we just, y'all just did a few minutes ago. I think that would be fair.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much for those who are online. The Highway 41 project. Mr. Kabrowski. Yes, sir.
Point of order. Thank you. We have many people here today, and we have the mayor of Mount Pleasant here. I'd like to have him a chance to address us on this before we begin our discussion.
All right, Mayor Haney, there you are. Thank you. We're so happy to have such an erudite personality in our presence. If you would come and address us at this time.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be here representing the town of Mount Pleasant. I know we have Councilman Mike Cafano here. Did I miss anybody? Other elected officials? They are at the Municipal Association Convention in Hilton Head, long planned before we knew this would be on the agenda, and so they are where they need to be. But I want to start off this evening by reading from page 2 of the resolution that we passed at our most recent meeting, because there's a lot of misunderstanding that Mount Pleasant would be happy if 5 lanes were put through the Phillips community, and that is absolutely not true. We put it in writing for this reason. Whereas Town Council supports the Phillips community, a settlement community of cultural and historical significance located in the proposed road improvement area, and the current plan to preserve the same while improving Highway 41, and whereas alternatives exist to preserve both Laurel Hill Park and the Phillips community, and Town Council supports continued efforts to develop a plan satisfactory to all. And Town Council is committed to cooperating with Charleston County Council to improve upon the compromise alternative for the reasons stated herein. When we held our meeting, we had the largest crowd we have had since COVID. It was packed. And we're hearing from citizens all over Mount Pleasant. It's not just those in the Highway 41 corridor, it's all over Mount Pleasant, that this park is special and preserving our natural resources is special. And I came up today with a list of 15 examples where Mount Pleasant in recent history has shown our dedication to the environment and to settlement communities. One, we formed a settlement community task force. One of those recommendations was to amend or drop the annexation requirements so that single-family residences with existing available sewer service could access that, take the septic tank out of the ground, and not have to annex into the town of Mount Pleasant. And we did that. We did that in the past few years at the behest of our Settlement Community Task Force. We heard citizens say that we, Mount Pleasant, were responsible for the growth on Highway 41. There's not a person on our council that was there when those decisions were made. In fact, the last 4 election cycles have elected me and council members who have dedicated ourselves to doing things like building permit allocation to slow down growth. We bought the development rights out from Park West to reduce that by thousands of residences. We partnered with y'all to do the clean water credits to help county and town residents who are on septic, to cut their cost to access sewer service, and that's a very successful program. We formed a joint defense agreement with Mount Pleasant Waterworks to prevent the Republic Tract from being developed with up to 1,600 homes, which it could under your zoning on Highway 41, which would also be devastating to the Phillips community. We were the first large municipality to pass a plastic bag ordinance, first large one. Isle of Palms was the first. Now, I believe y'all still have one, and most of the Low Country does. We passed low-impact development guidelines. We formed a flood resilience committee. We established our own green space funding mechanism. We just formed a tree task force. We established a green commission of credentialed conservation professionals. We established a Mount Pleasant Green Initiative. We're working with the Southern Environmental Law Center to establish local wetlands protections in the aftermath of the Supreme Court ruling. We're sponsors of the Taste of Sweetgrass and the Sweetgrass Festival, and we too just appropriated funding to help stabilize the Long Point Schoolhouse. We are friends of settlement communities. We also passed our own moratorium to match the counties, so no one has an incentive to get out of the county and come into town to get around your development moratorium. So I want to stop the Mount Pleasant bashing. We are friends of the settlement communities, and our opposition to putting any of a road through Laurel Hill Park is not our approval of 5 lanes going through, the Phillips community. And 2 more examples, and I will be quiet. We just celebrated 20 years of the Ravenel Bridge, and when it was first designed, everyone was told, can't put the bike lane and walking lane on it where everybody wanted it so you could enjoy the water. But with enough citizen support, that was done, and we just celebrated 20 wonderful years of that. And in matter of fact, next Thursday, I'm leading a mayor's walk on that bridge of citizens in acknowledgement and celebration of conservation across the state. And the city of Greenville just made the most desirable places to visit list, maybe for the first time ever. And what caused that renaissance in Greenville? Removing a highway from over their natural resources and creating the Reedy River Walk there, and now it is one of the most desired places to go. So we're just asking to work with y'all to save the Phillips community and save the forest in Laurel Hill Park, and we look forward to working with you and hope there's a positive outcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor and council persons who are here with us tonight. And Mr. Administrator reminded me that Ms. James and others, Mr. Habersham is also in the audience, and we would like to give them an equal opportunity to address us. Ms. James is with the Coastal Conservation League.
Ms. Rivers?
Ms. Rivers, I'm sorry. And Mr. Habersham, thank you so much. Mr. Habersham is with the Phillips community, and so we would like to hear from both of them. And you said somebody else?
Good evening, Councilman, and thank you very much for the opportunity. We are just standing with the Conservation League, supporting the compromise that you all worked on. It was a long, hard struggle to get to a compromise, and of course, what's the sign of a good compromise? When no one is happy. Obviously, the Conservation League supports conserving parks and green space, but we also wanted to be sure that we can solve the traffic problem. You know, as a native of Mount Pleasant, I have dealt with that intersection all of my life, and we can't solve half the problem. Phillips has already paid a price with the road going through. If you're able to shift some of that traffic, they still have to take a 3rd lane now. But if you can't shift some of that traffic and remediate what will happen in Phillips, because it will shrink there, then we don't have a whole solution to the traffic issue. So we're supporting your efforts to come up with a compromise that supports the community, that respects the fact that it is a neighborhood. They didn't plan for that big road to go through the middle of a neighborhood. Just because it's not a subdivision doesn't mean it's not a neighborhood. And so we appreciate the county standing with that community and coming up with a compromise that will at least deal with the traffic, because it's not just Park West traffic. It's traffic that's going to come from Clements Ferry Road out that way as well. And so, we didn't all plan for the growth, but it's here. We'd like to pull up a sign that says we're full, but we can't. And so we're just supporting your efforts. If there's some other alternative to move that traffic and make sure we solve the traffic problem without getting 5 lanes through Phillip, but we've got to get the permits done. The water's getting higher on 41, and we need a solution. So thank you all.
Thank you so much. Mr. Habersham?
First, thank you for giving me a chance to speak. In Phillip, we've seen the growth. I was here when Phillip in 17 was 2 lane. Before you had the bypass, we've seen all the growth. Yes, Mayor, y'all wasn't on council when all this development was being done, but it did. Mount Pleasant did it. The town did all this growth. When I seen some of the paperwork where Dunes West and Park West was really planned out, we wasn't involved in that. We found out after the fact. And I don't think that at that time they thought about the traffic. But where the traffic fell at, back in Phillip. Yes, we try to work with town of Mount Pleasant too. We, some of the council members before you, Mayor, we work with Mayor Hallman, and he grew up in the area. He knew how the settlement communities grew and how important we was to the town of Mount Pleasant. But now, since all of this development is around us, you have to do something with the traffic, and just widen 41 or just improving Bessemer Road is not going to do it. You have to take some of that traffic out of Phillip. And running through the park, yes, you have to build that road. Also, that is not the only park that you're going to be running a road through. The park that the county bought with Greenbelt money that's off of Rifle Range Road, you're going to run Hungry Neck through that park. So I don't see a difference running a road through part of Laurel Hill versus you running another road through the middle of the park and you taking away more wetland in that project than you're doing in Laurel Hill. I don't see a difference. One thing I'm seeing is that we're trying to solve a problem without destroying a community that's been here over 100 years. Or we're not even trying to destroy Park West. One thing we want Park West to do is take their traffic. We're taking the through traffic, we're taking the truck traffic. You take your traffic out of our community, and I think that is the compromise. Everybody is giving a little bit. And on that, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Habersham. I believe our clerk of council, deputy clerk, has let me know that Sam Spence is somewhere in here. I can't see, so come on up. Thank you so much.
Council, Sam Spence from the Preservation Society of Charleston. I'll keep it brief, but as I've told all of you at some point in the past, thanks for your work so far implementing protections for settlement communities. Just thinking about it a second ago, I think each of you probably represent settlement communities in your districts. And so you were all on council when Phillips was designated as a National Register Historic District. That was due in part to the work you all did to implement those protections. So thank you for that. I think the town of Mount Pleasant deserves credit for right-sizing some of the regulations to account for the measures y'all have taken. But folks that live in Phillips and live in the unincorporated areas don't cast votes for folks in town of Mount Pleasant. You guys are the only ones that can help them with the protections that are in place at the county level now. So we're here today to support the compromise and hope that you also continue to support the compromise plan also. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kabrowski.
Point of order, this to kind of, we heard, to keep things balanced, we have another councilman from Mount Pleasant, another gentleman who wrote a very detailed editorial, just so we have a balanced presentation. Could they speak too briefly, Your Honor?
All right, Mr. Pryor?
The mayor's the chief administrator
That's
officer for
right.
the town of Mount Pleasant. He has spoken, so he's spoken for the whole town.
All right.
Well, we had 3 speakers. I'm just
but
trying to
I-
keep things
But they were
balanced.
from different,
Different organizations.
yeah. And so the administrator brought to my attention that Ms. Rivers was here, and she's from the Coastal Conservation League. The deputy clerk, because I can't see beyond the podium, said that Mr. Spence was here. Of course, I saw Mr. Habersham myself and did want him to speak because he's
I understand.
he's the president of that community.
Yes, sir.
And so we are not picking everybody out of the audience to come, which we would love to hear from all of you on Tuesday if you sign up for public comments. That would be appropriate. But based on these categorical, organizational, he's the president. These people represent, particular areas of interest. So wanted to at least get their voices
sir.
added to the conversation.
Could one more then who lives there as well? have
All
more
right.
editorial?
Okay.
Yes, sir, just
Yes.
briefly then.
Absolutely.
Hello, my name is Dave Spedden. I'm a resident of Park West, and I did write the editorial that was published digitally yesterday and in the paper, I believe, today. Wasn't prepared to speak today. I thought I was just going to be listening, so please bear with me. We've talked a lot about the acreage and the wetlands that are going to be impacted. There are going to be more acres destroyed as a result of alternate 7 versus alternate 1. But what a lot of people have failed to look at, too, is the impact to the Park West and Dunes West community. You have projections that say you're going to drive 300% increase in traffic through those communities, and there's been no mention at all about pedestrian impacts, trying to cross the streets to get to amenities, the ongoing cost of that change. Also, if you do the road through Laurel Hill Park, Mount Pleasant is expected to take up the long-term maintenance to maintain that road. So there's a lot of hidden costs, and there's a lot of community impacts that have not been addressed yet. You've done a darn good job with the Phillips community, but you really haven't gone back and looked at the population density of Park West and Dunes West. You really need to go back and look at that, because what you're proposing is not a balanced compromise. I don't know who came up with the word on this, because a compromise to me is you sit with someone and you do a give and a get. And when you do the give and a get, you get to a compromise. So a good give would be, I know the Phillips community wants that turning lane, so put in the third lane for them. What we would probably do is say, hey, why don't we take the sidewalks and the bike lane off of 41 at Bessemer and bring them back on the 41 on the other sides of Dunes West? Great, that one's solved. Let's move on to the next one. But until you do a complete community impact, because right now it is one-sided and it looks biased to me and probably to others, I think you're on the wrong path. When you talk about the Environmental Protection Agency, they talk about fair treatment. No group should bear a disproportionate share of the environmental harm. Well, number 7 does that versus number 1. It's not proportionate, and also the whole community aspect of it is not there. One last thing I'd like to close with. I'm not sure how you make decisions. I worked for UPS. They're a Fortune 50 company. I was involved in very large global practices, projects, some that go anywhere from $50 to $100 million. And we had painstakingly had to put together decision criteria. Financial is 1, so you got to score your project on the financial impact. Solving the problem is 2, so you got to go through your requirements. Does it solve the problem? Then you'd go down to the environmental impacts and the community impacts. And you would put an average on each one of those. Which ones would you weight higher and lower? And you basically do a score sheet that you can come down and have an objective answer. Because right now, I think we have a subjective one. And I really plead that you would go back and look at this, and I would even volunteer my time to help. So thank you for your time.
All right, Mr. Sass.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been a long process. We started this project one of the first two sections of the 2016 sales tax when we realized that we had problems at each end of the county. We had a problem at 17 in Maine, and we had a problem at 17 and 41. And both of those were kind of bottlenecks, and we needed to fix those two locations. And so, 17 in Maine is already underway, under construction. Everything was held up by COVID and other factors over this period of time. And to make it even worse, everything's costing about twice as much as it did, as we thought it was going to cost. This particular project, I think we went through 20 alternatives. And let me add, when we started working, we worked with the town of Mount Pleasant. We've continued to work with their engineers and their staff on interim improvements, on signal improvements, and other things. So Mount Pleasant's been working along with us through this program, through this process. They haven't been involved in everything, but we are working with them. We like to work with Mount Pleasant. We're very we've done a lot for the community over there, and because it's a big part of the county, and I'm proud of that. I live over there. We have the Ravenel Bridge, which Mayor Haney brought up. Well, we still have 4 or 5 payments to make on the Ravenel Bridge that Charleston County agreed to pay. So we're paying for that, and we did Johnny Dodds Boulevard, and we participated in Boone Hall and the Rifle Range Road properties and Laurel Hill. So I mean, Charleston County certainly is well involved in doing projects in Mount Pleasant, and we like doing things in Mount Pleasant. So we're not, I know some people are unhappy about this because it is a compromise, and nobody's happy about it. I don't think anybody's happy about a compromise of this sort. Like I said, we went through about 20 alternatives. We went through 7,000 or 8,000 comments with people, and we've had over 150 or 160 meetings with communities to discuss this. And I think that, and we had numerous meetings here with every group possible, Coastal Conservation League, everybody. Everybody weighed in on this. This was a compromise of all compromises. And so we have a project now which is in the stage where it's been sent off to get 3 different permits. One of them from the Department of ES, one of them from SCDOT, and the other one from the Corps of Engineers. And we probably won't get those permits all this year. We may or we may not. And our staff has been working with those agencies. They ask us questions. We work back and forth with them. They ask questions about this, questions about that. And so we're working together with them. We may or may not get those permits this year. We do have a funding problem. Part of this problem is if we don't build the plan the way it's set up now, we will not have enough money to build Highway 41. And that's the State Transportation Infrastructure Bank has made some money available for us for the Highway 41 project. And if we change the plan in any way, that money is capable of being taken away. We could lose that money. We can't change any of these plans in midterm, but what we would like to do is, we heard everybody. I was at the meeting. I've been at the meetings. We heard everybody in Mount Pleasant. We want to hear, is there another alternative? We haven't had one presented yet. The best alternative we have right now is the plan, the compromise plan. No better plan has been presented. We've had it, other people have reviewed it and said that the figures are correct. Other people that are against it say our figures are wrong. So the best I can say is that we have this process ongoing. We would love to talk to the town of Mount Pleasant more, and our engineers and their engineers get together. If there's some magic bullet that we've overlooked that somebody can find, maybe it's something that can be considered. But right now it hasn't, and we can't stop this process without losing about 8 years, and we're capable of losing that money. So I mean, that's what scares me. And if we don't improve Highway 41, everybody in this room agrees that Highway 41 needs to be improved. And all of us agree we don't want to run over the Phillips community. The other issue is the park. the park, we are going right along the edge of the park. We're not going through the park. Everybody likes to say we're going through the park, like we're going right down the middle of it. We're not. We're going along the far edge, and we are hugging that edge. Just like the white line on the road when you drive out on the street. There's a white line on most paved streets that we have that hugs the very edge of the pavement. That's the way the Laurel Hill Parkway would be, right along the edge. And as far as impact for Laurel Hill's about 760 acres. We've been told that we would have to cut trees on 12 acres, 2 acres of wetlands and 10 acres of uplands. We want to make this as least impact possible, but this project is needed. It doesn't work without the Laurel Hill Parkway. We tried Bessemer. Mount Pleasant said we couldn't use Bessemer, so that's why Laurel Hill Parkway is that option. So that's basically where, I know that's a long rambling statement, but that's where we stand.
Well, thank you for the long rambling statement. This is just discussion because this is a settled matter that has already been voted upon. Mr. Wehrman?
Mr. Chairman, listen, I think there's two things going on here. And I realize that not everyone in Mount Pleasant is a part of the first one, but there is a conflict of values. I mean, I have read some of the comments. I've read some of the emails that I received, and there is certainly a lot of people who gave a lot of opposition to this plan, who very much want to see us pave right through Phillips community. And so, quite frankly, now, the mayor, I'm not including, I understand the resolution. I understand, I've talked to Mr. Brownstein about it, and that's a debate on technical grounds, really. I mean, I think that is a debate on the engineering studies. We had 3 different groups of engineers really looking at this. I mean, we had 2 contracted out contractors. We had our own folks. It's been looked at by the Army Corps, obviously. I mean, if the numbers were wrong, then I think we would have figured it out now, but it's on some level, I guess I'm still open to seeing more numbers, although, again, you have to weigh that against going all the way back, starting it over, losing the SIB money. So it's very hard for me to believe that there's any real viable path there, but that's a technical argument. There is still a values argument at play here, though. And I just really believe that the value of the settlement communities, both as, sort of historically significant conservation, significant resources, and as just living, breathing neighborhoods that people are raising their children in, I just still think that having a plan that maximizes the preservation of that ability, not even maximizes, frankly, but having a plan that recognizes the value of that and the value of those neighborhoods in a very balanced way, I still believe this is balanced, is not something we should go back on, to the point of compromise. Mr. Sass mentioned the number of meetings. We had a lot of different submissions from a lot of different neighborhoods. I can tell you, at the time I represented Hurlbeck Creek, they did not get a lot of the things that they wanted. I know that we had a number of discussions with the 7 Mile community. They were not particularly happy with the end result. And look, this is not Plan 7. Alternative 7 was going to have, I guess, 5 lanes going on Dunes West Parkway, or Dunes West Boulevard, rather. And this does not. This took away that. So the amount of traffic under Alternative 7 that would have been routed through those neighborhoods is not going to be what this is. I mean, this is still a burden to the Phillips community. Like I said, it's not really maximizing their advantage here because they're still going to be the ones taking a 3rd lane and bearing all the truck traffic, bearing really the through traffic. So I just don't really see the imbalance argument as being reality here. So that's where I'm at. I'm ready to move forward, not ready to move back.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boykin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I share a lot of the same feelings and sentiments as Mr. Sass. I wasn't around when all this was being put together. It was already assembled and decided when I got here. This is almost like a case of the horses have been long out in the barn. This thing has gone and progressed to a point where I don't know that you can turn it around and to make an 11th hour pitch to make major changes is too late, simply. And I'm going to put a finer point on it. There's about $60-something million of SIB money out there. The Laurel Park portion of it, I think, is 30-something million. This is going to leave a $30+ million shortage that we don't have. And I'd ask Mayor Henry, is the town of Mount Pleasant going to write a $30 million check if we just do the Hourglass 41 and not do Laurel Park? I got, a bake sale ain't going to get it done. That's a lot of money, and we have no funding mechanism to make that up. So we are almost painted into a corner right now. If we lose the SID money, the whole project may be in jeopardy, and I don't know how else you go around it. We certainly don't have the funding to make that up. And so, and I think, again, all the permitting, as far as we've gone, to try to make a change now, it doesn't sound reasonable or prudent. And, if we'd been way further back in time and more ideas were out there and another path was chosen, so be it. But I don't think we can go back now.
All right, Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope you all can hear me. I did have a couple questions for staff, maybe Mr. Evans and Mr. Thigpen, but maybe if Mr. Evans can move over to the microphone, that'd be great. But while he's doing that, I'll note that this is a banner day for the Coastal Conservation League, and I agree on something. I knew they'd come around at some point. But I did want to thank Mr. Sass. Mr. Worman had some great comments. Mr. Swears, before y'all worked your tails off and got this thing to this point, and thousands and hundreds of meetings. And Mr. Worman was right. I get the same emails. And with due respect to Mayor Haney, I don't buy it. I think they want to blast. I think people want to blast right through the Phillips community, and anything less than that is unacceptable to the great number of folks that live out there, in my opinion. But if Mr. Evans is over there, there's been much made about Laurel Park. Joel, any idea, best guess, the acreage that was cleared for neighborhoods that were formed down Highway 41 so many years ago?
So, I was requested to look at the acreage, I believe, of Dunes West and Park West, which, according to GIS, is about 3,400 Highland acres. And assuming that was all mature forest or semi-mature forest at the time of development, you can kind of count on at least 17, some developers would say 20, 25% of that would be for roads and drainage and other infrastructure would be necessary to be cleared for development. That would be 600 acres for that 3,400 acre tract for Dunes West and Park West. At a conservative number of, assuming it was wooded, a conservative number of trees per acre would be 100 trees per acre, which for just roads and infrastructure would equate to about 60,000 trees just for the roads and infrastructure. That does not include necessarily protected trees. It just includes all trees. It could be all pines, it could be saplings, but that is the general forestry accepted per acre of what.
And so, thank you, Joel. And so now we're having a temper tantrum over what Mr. Sass, talked about, a little sliver going off. That all this happened to build these communities, and now to have better access, we're like children on the floor kicking our feet about a little sliver. I'm done with this. Mr. Boykin pointed out aptly that this ship has sailed. If the SIP money goes away, the whole thing goes away. So in my position is you build it as we designed it, as we funded it, as we put it together, or you pull the plug for the whole thing and let the Mount Pleasant legislative delegation go get $300 million and build it the way they want to. And good luck doing that. So, and these threats of municipal consent, I mean, we've worked so well with the town over these years. And this last week, we get these resolutions and these threats about municipal consent. We don't need it. So do what you want to, but this is, enough. I mean, this has been going on for years, and the project is ready to go, and that's the way it is. And I thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moody. Mr. Kabrowski.
Well, I had prepared remarks, but I just heard pure demagoguery by some of the councilmen here. We utter pure demagoguery. The questions just asked about the creation of Park West and Dunes West or Carolina Park, we can make those same arguments about every development in Charleston County. My God, I was on the Charleston County School Board when we went about the Woodfield track, all those developments and everything else. But perhaps the worst demagoguery is to say that a white line on the highway, all this is, when I asked the staff, they said 21 acres. This room is what, a sixth of an acre? You can do the math. It's about 80 times the size of this room. That's not a small thing. And Dickie Schwartz told me when I was on county council that you would often have to make decisions that would offend friends and lose, people you love and respect. And this is such a moment. At one time, I was similar to what the other council members are saying. And what changed me, I went with the engineers to plot this out to see what on the ground is happening here. Where is the road going to be? Where would it go from the park? They took me into the park. And everywhere you looked, I saw trees on every side of me from where the road would go. So to say it's like a white line that hugs the road is pure demagoguery. And I just, I'm amazed at that. 21 acres is not hugging the line. I stood there with the engineers from the staff who showed me, and I saw trees in every direction. It wasn't right on the road. And I would suggest that, I agree that the settlement communities are valued and historic. The difference between my approach and what we've done with 10 Mile, it hasn't been impacted yet. I'll fight and lay down the road before I can allow subdivisions there and change the way of life. Highway, and I encourage the people here, and whoever wants to know, the Highway 41 is not a bucolic road. The damage was done 70 years ago. I would have voted against it. But that's a busy road. That's bisected. And I asked the engineers, does this go into the interior of Phillips 1 inch from where off the highway? No. The sanctity of the Phillips community is all from after the road inland, and the rural nature of the lots, the rural nature of the trees. All this would do is impact the busy road. Whatever we do on Highway 41, the people who are facing that now live on a busy highway. You cannot cross that unless you want to put your life in your hands. I would be for anything you can build bridges or walkways to get over it, but that's a busy highway. So to suggest that this is going to divide a community that hasn't been divided, that's a busy road. You can't claim that that's a neighborhood bucolic road now. That's just not the case. And in terms of, my recommendation would be, look, I've lived East Cooper for 46 years. I've never seen unanimity in town council. You have 9 council members and a mayor representing now over 100,000 people, all saying, don't do this, not to our community. We want our park, keep it. And I'm frankly disappointed in the conservation community. I heard when they were going to impact James Island Park, which was about 40 acres for 526, that was the end of the world. I oppose that. This is 20 acres, so I don't know how we can say 20 acres, no big deal. The other one was 40 acres, and there was no way you can do it. Conservation is conservation. I'm being, and the northern Mount Pleasant desperately needs a park like that for recreation. It's there, and people from any community, whether it's Phillips or Dunes West or Park West, can equally do that. In the history of East Cooper is all of us are in the category who didn't want the growth. So the thing is that for those who have lived there for generations and a long time, all of us would rather not have the growth. It's there. So to say we wouldn't want roads through our communities, everything that was done in the past for the sake of developers, how they built things out in narrow roads, those were problems that were created a long time ago. We can't undo the past. I wouldn't have put 41 through the Phillips community, but that was done, decades ago. And Highway 17 itself divided McClellanville. My wife grew up on a general store there when it was one car a day going by, and they took her house to condemn it to build an extra lane on 17. And 17 is still there, but again, I would ask anybody to drive through Highway 41 and see what you see there. It's a busy road now, and the town has conceded. I don't know what else they can do. To write it in blood, nobody wants to put anything but a turning lane through Highway 41, which is, I think, would be helpful, and I understand the community would want. So that, and going to the Civ, I understand it would be a little more difficult because we'd have to go back to them. But I say it's worth the effort. When you have the unanimous resolution, all outdoing each other, 9 council members and the mayor saying, don't do this to our park, and we agree not to impact Phillips any more than a turn lane, which they want, to go back. This would save the state, over $30 million. So we can go back and say, we can save you $30 million. Let's reconsider this and get the money. That's worth doing. My motion today would be to agree with the town, to go back, that don't do it through the park, and don't do anything more to Phillips, that whatever we have to sign off on, nothing through there other than the turn lane, which is what Phillips wants. But we can go back, it takes a little bit more effort, and if they tell us, no, we can't do it, but to go back to the SIB and say, look, we can save you, the town doesn't want it. And I think we've learned, and we've heard today about we have to do another sales tax. And if you just thumb our nose at 9 councilmen and the mayor representing 100,000 people, we have a sales tax coming up. I don't know how we would ever expect to do that. We had the thing with
Mr.
526.
Kowalski, we've talked about that, and I would not go there with that comment.
Okay, well, I would say about 526 then, we voted, we wanted to put something through a community, and they said no, and frankly, hell no. And that's what happened then, and we have a similar moment now here represented by the town. I've never seen the town council unanimous. You have liberals, you have conservatives, you have people living all over the county from all different perspectives in Mount Pleasant, and the people in Mount Pleasant are Charleston County residents as well. So that would be my position on this, and that when you have that coming, we need to respond. Why we failed on the sales tax, we didn't listen to the communities. We try to force things on people that they didn't want.
All right, so we have Mr. Pryor, we have Mr. Boykin, and Mr. Wehrman.
I'm not going to debate this, and I'm not going to be long. My fear is if we don't do this now and you take the shortcut, as soon as this thing is completed, the roads are going to be congested and jammed. Some of us may still be on council and some not. And what's going to happen? It's going to come right back down through the Phillips community. It's going to be 5 lanes. Now, Mayor, I trust you. You may say, yeah, but there's no guarantee you're going to be there. Just like the council before you. They voted one way, y'all come and vote another way. There's no guarantee Mr. Brownstein's going to be there. So we have to fix this, and I think the compromise was great. Everybody did it. I mean, so we're going to take, 4 acres from these residents in the Phillips and 69 residents, affect them, when we only can use 10 acres for the park and affects no one other than just along the edge. And so I support the compromise that we voted on years ago. This is too far down the road now to turn back. And folks wonder why it costs so much to do these projects. It's because it takes so long to get things done, the prices go up. And so I support the Phillips community 1,000%. I think this is a great compromise. The town is upset. The Phillips community is upset, but if we don't do something to fix this problem now, look at history, and history will tell you it's going to come through the least resistant community and the poorest of the poorest. I've lived through 526, I've lived through I-26. I saw I-26 come right down the middle of an apartment complex and split it in half. And that's from downtown Charleston all the way up to Dorchester Road. And so these things happen. And so, I mean, would I would like to see something better? Yeah, but we went through all these alternatives. This is the best we got. And losing $63 million, and we're going to have to come right back and do something else, where are we going to get the money from? And so, while some may be upset, I'm upset too, because I think the Phillips community still got the shaft in the deal, because they're still going to be taking the majority of the traffic, the truck traffic. They're going to be taking more traffic. And so, Mr. Sass, I thank you, and I thank Mr. Worman and the rest of this council for, going to the meetings, bringing it back and forth, Mr. Swears as well, too. And wasn't this unanimous from council when we voted on this?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was unanimous when we voted on it to approve this compromise. So, I thank those who came out. We listened to you, but this is just too far down the road now to turn back around and cost the taxpayers a bunch of money. And Mr. Grabowski, you made the threat of the sales tax, so they won't support the sales tax if they don't get their way. Well, the Phillips community can say the same thing too. If we don't get our way, they have a voice in this as well too. So I think the threats of using the sales tax against the taxpayers of Charleston County is not the right thing to do. I mean, good people stand up when things are right for the right purpose. Now, you basically told the people with the half-penny sales tax, we need to get out, explore it, get the right thing, put it before the people. Now, since you can't get your way, you saying, well, we're gonna vote against the half-penny sales tax to continue. When the 7 Mile community came to you as their representative and asked you not to put the sidewalks through their community, you said, no, I'm gonna go with the town, I'm gonna put the sidewalks through their community. Now, these folks came to you, their representative. So you can't be fair to one and unfair to the other. So, my complaint is, we just spending and wasting staff time. I hope we don't waste none of staff time anymore. We've already voted on this. We're waiting on the permits to come back. Let's just move forward. Looking at something, it's not gonna change. We got one of the engineers out there who looked at this project sitting in the audience. They did everything they could, and this is the best alternative that they came up with, and I thank them for it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Boykin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Datoma, could you provide us with what the actual acreage impact, best estimate? Thank you.
I have our project experts here. I'm going to defer to Rhett.
That would be great. Thank you.
Played a large role on the alternative. And then Jordan is the lead project engineer.
Yes, thank you all. Mr. Chairman, members of council, I'm Rhett Rodenbach with Revere Group. I'm a civil engineer here in North Charleston and work diligently with members of council. And I'm on the team with HDR, who's the lead consultant for the county that's prepared all the engineering studies and the environmental documents for this environmental document that's being reviewed by the court today. And I think to kind of highlight what I think the point that Councilmember Sass was making earlier about the white line, it's really, if you look at this exhibit up here on the screen.
Can we blow that up?
Let's see how good I am here.
We even veer off the right one.
My fingers? How about that?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, how about that?
Yes.
So just to kind of reiterate, I think what Mr. Sass's point partially was when he talked about it being like a white line. So when we picked the alignment for the Laurel Hill Parkway, our objective was to put it simply as close to the edge of the property line as we possibly could in the Laurel Island Park without affecting the residences that were nearby. So you can see as the intersection of the parkway comes from Highway 41, it does shift a tad away from the property line of Laurel Hill Park in order to give a proper buffer to the existing homes that are located just off Bessemer Road. And if you continue to see it go closer to the Dunes West Park West intersection.
So the green is the area that we're looking at?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
This cursor, can you see this cursor? Yeah, this green is the actual road right-of-way width. And you can see here, it's in the park.
So would you typify that as hugging?
In this location, no, sir, because it is buffered off of the property line to provide an undisturbed natural vegetative buffer between the residences that back up to the park and where the road will be. So it does go internal to the park slightly. I think the length width there is probably 150 feet from the property line in order to build the road. And as soon as
in areas where there are not properties, you would think that it's a little closer.
Yes, sir.
to the
So if you
edge.
can see here, Mr. Chairman, this location here, it actually leaves the park.
Okay.
And it goes on to undeveloped property that the Park West Property Owners Association owns. Requires about 1.6 acres from that parcel of land in order to make it work. And to get the alignment to come through properly and tie in to Dunes West and Park West, there's a little bit of a curve in the road. You can see it do this. It's hugging the edge. It's coming up here on the edge of the park and threading the needle, so to speak, between the power lines and the apartments that are existing here on Park West Boulevard.
So the shaded green portions, that seems to be some sort of whatever shape that is, that's the park.
Yes, sir. The dash line that has the green dash surrounded by the white color and the light green internal to it is the park. And what you're seeing, in these lines that are more brown are some of the trails that are existing in the park.
And that's just for walking and,
Yes, sir. That's for walking. And so, the point here, when you total up the acreage of right-of-way that's required for the road itself, it's 10 acres, okay? Now, there's been a 20-acre number that's been thrown out there, and that 20-acre number, I believe, comes from the portion of the park that will remain on the 41 side
oh, I see.
of Laurel Hill Parkway. This area right here is roughly 10 acres, but it's going to remain undisturbed. It's going to remain part of the park. It's not meant to be taken as right-of-way by the county during the construction of the parkway. So within the 10 acres, along this alignment, okay, is the 2 acres of wetlands that will be filled with the road construction. The drainage that will be put along the road will actually improve the drainage in the area. It will divert water from the neighborhood. It will take it through channels and pipes to the discharge location in the creeks. It'll be properly cleaned, maintained. So a lot of the concept of destroying the park, which is also included in the resolution that was approved last week, it is destroying 10 acres of the park. There's no doubt about that. It's going to convert a very nice wooded area into a piece of infrastructure that's vitally critical for the future of transportation in this community.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Kabrowski.
It's been a while, sir, since I've been in school, but 150 feet is 50 yards, right? And so that's like half a football field. And that would be 50 yards, all of this area, half a football field, correct?
That's correct.
And this area would be what, 10 football fields? How many?
So the road is not occupying this area, Mr. Kabrowski, or is not occupying that area either.
But the road goes here, and now this area is, whatever is on the left of this is now in the park, correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
How many football fields is that?
I mean, 10 acres is a sizable tract of land. It's pretty big, but it's not being taken with the parkway. It's remaining park.
Thank you so much.
There's a road between it. Thank you.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, so at this point, we do appreciate the discussion, and thank you for your active participation. At this time, Ms. Ham, we do have a need for an executive session.
Yes, sir, we do have a need for an executive session. At this time, I would like to ask council for...
Council members, let's pay attention to Ms. Ham, please.
I would like to ask council members for unanimous consent to add an executive session item in relation to the response that we got back from the city on 993 and 995 Morrison, both to the Special Finance Committee and to the County Council Committee.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Now let's have the motion to go into executive session.
Move to
for
executive
stated purposes. Can you state both?
Absolutely. We have a need for executive session to consider an offer that has come in with regards to 993, 995 Morrison. Additionally, we have a presentation to consider for the Grantham Homes Historic Preservation Commission's case.
Would you think 15 minutes would be sufficient for both?
I believe 15 minutes should be sufficient.
All right. Oh, yeah.
That sounds like we're second then, right? Well, I don't know. Hopefully.
We are back from executive session. No actions were taken in that session at this time. Mr. Sass?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that we accept the terms received from the City of Charleston regarding the sale of 993, 995 Morrison Drive and authorize staff to negotiate a purchase and sale agreement to be approved by council.
Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Boykin?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to grant historic certificate pursuant to discussion in executive session.
Second. Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay.
Nay.
Thank you so much. The ayes have it. We don't have comments. If you wish to have comments tonight, I would like to thank Mr. Toma, Mr. Linker, Mr. Q, and Ms. Worster at a town hall meeting in West Ashley last week, and they were rock stars in presentation of all of our projects. And I think that's the way that we're going to have to sell these things, community by community, individuals by individuals, and people who came there asking questions about these projects in their areas, their specific areas, and that made all the difference. So thank all of you for your expertise and for the technical assistance that you provided. Tomorrow, I would also like to remind all council persons that we will have the David W. Coker Magistrate Court unveiling right here tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. If you're available to come, we invite you to come. And, oh, we still have a, okay. You can tell I'm ready to go. We have a special county council. Okay, well, let's turn to the special county council. Let's, Freedom of Information Act.
In compliance with the Freedom of Information Act, notice of meetings was posted and agendas were distributed to news media and persons requesting notification.
All right, item 2, we do have a couple of things that were approved from that FY26 budget. Let's have the,
Committee recommendation.
all right. Second. Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Let us have the first reading.
An ordinance to amend the 25-26 budget ordinance number 2346 to provide for the increase of the Charleston County's general fund budget by appropriating additional $4.2 million for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, hereinafter referred to as fiscal year 26, to provide for the budgetary control of said appropriations by the county council and the county administrator and other matters related thereto. This,
We just voted.
Is that the one that we did for the $2,000 bonus?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I said no, I just wanted to.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Can you put me as a no as well, Ms. Worcester?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Can we do a roll call vote on that, or just? Or,
So the two of you voted? Yes. No, everybody else is yes. Okay. So that's the roll call. The future transportation sales tax data, is there a recommendation for that? I didn't
this
think.
was the recommendation from the Special Finance Committee that we held this council
That's
retreat.
right. Okay.
So the recommendation was to authorize staff to move forward with the program outlined by the transportation consultants and provide an analysis and data to council within 60 days so council can begin the process of making a decision regarding the future of the transportation
All
program.
right. So can we have a motion?
Committee recommendation.
Moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. So again, tomorrow we'll be here at 11 o'clock a.m. for the unveiling of the magistrate court named after David Coker. And just out of deference, anybody wishes, okay, Mr. Werman.
Can I just say one thing really quickly, and this is for our staff because of that, the bonus vote we just had, and, I just want to make clear that I do want to vote for this. I certainly want everyone to be rewarded for all their hard work and all the great things y'all do. I just, while the specter of, and I know we didn't vote on this part of it, but while the specter of something that I think can fairly be characterized as a tax increase is still on the table, I'm just not comfortable doing that right now. I hope to be able to join the ayes on that, hopefully by Tuesday.
But it's not on the table. It's not on the table because there was no second.
I guess fair enough. Maybe I'll be joining you on Tuesday
Yeah,
then.
so
I guess maybe I do need to figure out what that means.
This is it. This is it.
The motion,
We have 3 readings?
Yes.
We will.
Three readings of that, but not, the other piece is not in there. The millage piece is not a part of that.
Well,
And it should not come back up as a part of that.
confused about what that means, but
let somebody on the winning side, somebody on the prevailing side can bring it up, if they request it.
Ms. Ham?
This is unrelated, but I did want to mention the vote that you took with regards to the executive session item where you've granted the historic certificate will need to come back in the form of a settlement agreement. And so I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Yes. Thank you so much. All right, so, the item that we just voted on as it relates to the budget piece.
Sure, you can change me to a yes then. I guess my point is simply that I do view those things in concert, and if the specter of a millage increase comes back up, I will have to revisit that.
Yep, I would be along with you.
Yes, sir.
And we should give the people of Charleston County a break with the 38 mills. All right.
You're not planning on coming tomorrow, though, right? Are you coming tomorrow?